What up, everybody? Welcome to the Week 17 Fantasy Flex main slate podcast presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Chris Raybon, joined as always by my dude, Sean Koerner. Sean, happy COVID Tuesday.
Oh, Jesus. Is that what we're calling it? Yeah, it sounds about right.
I mean, every day is a COVID day, but this is where we get all the all the news starts flooding in.
I wouldn't call it happy. But I will say congrats on advancing to the championship in the Action Network Fantasy Football League. I wish I was facing you. How fun would that be?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Serious side action, but Randall beat me by over 100 points this week. So you have your work cut out for you.
Shouts to Mike Randall, man. I
really messed up by not adding Justin Jackson because I am the manager of Austin Eckler in our league. And that team has been so easy to manage this year that I dropped the ball on that. Usually I'm hoarding all these backup running backs, but you swooped in and got him. So congrats on the win, and good luck in the finals.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I know we were talking earlier, like our guy, Mike Randall, our colleague, his team is pretty beast. So yeah. I don't think anyone wanted to face him in the first round. And you just were on the wrong side of that.
What did he put up 168 against me? There's nothing I could do.
He put up like 30 more than I did. So
yeah,
and then me and Stuckey. So yeah, it's gonna be an uphill battle. I feel good about my team. Mm-hmm. My team's pretty deep, but you could say that on Tuesday or by Friday, Saturday. It's but we don't have a Thursday night slate this week, so we can spend even more time on the Sunday slate. We'll kind of I think as we talk through these DFS guys, since pretty much everyone's on the main slate, we could kind of maybe get into some start sits, some close calls people may have if that are in a championship week. But let's get it started by talking about quarterbacks and your top five for week 17.
Pretty standard top five. It's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady at number 5.
Yeah, I got Allen and Mahomes 1, 2 as well. My last three are a little different. I got Brady, Hurts, Rodgers. I just can't downgrade Brady against the Jets. Like it's just like I don't know what to do with that. It's tough. And then Hurts is just, I mean, he's been playing really well. I like the way he's running with the football. And then Rodgers, I think I'm gonna just keep Rodgers in my top 5. Like I know he only had like 200 yards, but I mean, it's I think he's just gonna stay here. Herbert, I just don't know what's going on with Herbert. Is it Mike Williams not being there? Like what? Like he's just like not playing. He didn't play well against Houston at all.
Yeah, he didn't have Mike Williams. Jalen Guyton probably didn't matter for that, but Austin Eckler too.
Yeah.
So and just Herbert. The only knock on Herbert, he's so talented, but he has been inconsistent.
Yeah.
So putting up a dud against the Texans. It's just par for the course, and then he'll bounce back this week. But I think as long as Keenan Allen's there, all is well. But Keenan had a pretty rough game, so maybe it was just Keenan wasn't playing well, and Herbert suffered because of that. But I think Herbert's going to bounce back this week.
No, it was definitely Herbert not playing well. Like I was watching that game. You don't put it on Keenan Allen. Like he's winning his matchups. Like it's Herbert. Like just I don't know. He was just like throwing. It was just a little off. And like that's kind of been the Chargers all year. It's like they're like very they live fast and die young. Like, they're just kind of going for everything, like 4th down, 3rd down. We could pick it up, throw past the sticks, but I don't know. It gets sloppy sometimes. So I'm hoping he bounces back, but against that Fangio defense, man, he actually worries me a little bit. Even though like the Bronco defense isn't as talented as it was, earlier in the year with Von Miller and guys healthy, but it still worries me just after seeing him last week.
Yeah. So you mentioned you have Tom Brady number 3, right?
Yeah.
Arians being out doesn't impact anything, right? If anything, Tom Brady's going to be the interim head coach, right?
Yeah, right? So he's the coach.
He's just going to call pass play every play. So yeah. I once again, I probably have Brady to start the week, and I'll probably meet you closer to number 3 by the end of the week. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I can't wait till we do our top 5 receivers. I got a fun one. I think.
Oh, I can't wait. Mine's pretty boring, so
let's talk about the quarterbacks we like. DFS cheat codes, guys, are higher on than the consensus for week 17.
So the guy that stands out up top is Dak Prescott. He's 6,700. I mean, he's coming off of that just explosion on Sunday Night Football. So imagine in a more competitive game against Cardinals, he's going to be, in for all 4 quarters. And, we could see Dak in the middle of a breakout. So love him at 6,700. I think his rostership is going to be pretty insane given the misprice. So, I'm looking to spend down at these rushing quarterbacks. Taysom Hill's 6K. Seems like that's too cheap. He is facing the Panthers, which is, a run final matchup, but he's a running quarterback. So if he returns this week, which I assuming he is, love him at 6K. We talked about him yesterday. Justin Fields at 5,500 is another good play. And like you said, if he plays this week, it's because the coaching staff management assumes he's closer to 100%. They're not going to roll him out there if his ankle is, less than 80%. So I think we can trust Fields if he's active against the Giants. And it looks like Allen Robinson is coming back. He might get Jakeem Grant, so he should have full cupboard of pass catchers at his disposal. And then last but not least, probably the no-brainer play of the week is Trey Lance at 4,800, assuming Jimmy G is ruled out, which it seems like he's doubtful. But, against the Texans, they could just lean on Lance's rushing ability. And we already saw that in his first start this year. He rushed for 18 times for 90 yards. When it comes to fantasy, we love that rushing upside. So at 4,800, he'll be a no-brainer. Do you think his rostership's going to be too high or too low here?
Probably too high. I mean, he's 4,800.
Yeah,
I think everyone's going to play him in cash games and tournaments. And because it's like he was the sexy preseason guy too. It's not like if this was like Josh Johnson or something, then it's like, okay, maybe his rostership will be kept in check. But this is a guy that people actually drafted as like the QB 14 in fantasy. So I think people are going to play him if he's starting at that price. Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Trey Lance for me. All three of those guys just great price tags. Some of the other guys, it's just, they're kind of priced appropriately. I'm curious though, like for season long fantasy, let's say you have to choose between Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kirk Cousins. Which one are you going with?
Oh man. It's just hard to trust Russell Wilson right now. I think the Green Bay game, they're supposed to be like negative. The weather's supposed to be like freezing or something. So we got to look out for that. So maybe I would go with, that stuff. Russell Wilson against the Lions. Yeah. I feel like you drafted him for this week. It's a close call. All three of those are within like 0.2 points. So that's a decision I'd rather make Sunday morning. But like I said, this weather situation, Green Bay, leaves Cousins out for me. So I think it's between Wilson and Fields. And it depends if you're a favorite or underdog. I think Fields probably has a higher ceiling, right? Nah, just Wilson all the way for you?
I just think Wilson has a higher ceiling because he has better receivers. Like, and the Giants have been like, the total in that game is 37.5. So like, it just see like the Giants have been well schemed in pass defense. In this game, I think Wilson has the higher ceiling. Maybe most weeks Fields probably would, but I mean the Lions defense, Metcalf and Lockett healthy as of now. I think I still lean Wilson, but it's close. That's why I was asking. Like it is.
Yeah,
close.
If you're playing Wilson, you definitely want Jared Goff to return this week. If it's Tim Boyle under center, that's going to lower Wilson's ceiling. But I think Goff should return this week. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. For this week, Wilson obviously he should have the higher ceiling. Who knows what Pete Carroll's going to pull here, but Wilson at least early in the week is my lean here.
And besides, you got to prop up his trade value.
Oh yeah, that's true. Let him cook this week.
Right. I mean, we're saying this now, and watch Fields just not play and just like.
Well, that's going to make it easier then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good point on Cousins. I didn't, it's early in the week. I haven't been thinking too much about whether the total's still at like 47.5, but
might get on that under.
Yeah. I hate Packers unders though. They're just like, it's like Aaron Rodgers just like touchdown.
Oh yeah, no, it's brutal.
All right, let's go to the quarterback prop.
Yeah, so I was mentioning Trey Lance earlier. I wanted to dive in on his projection, specifically his passing yards, because this is what's going to impact Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel to a certain extent, and George Kittle this week. So where are you projecting Trey Lance's passing yards? Right now, I have it at 190.5.
I have it about 198.5. So yeah, I'm about 8 yards over, but that's kind of in line. I think right around like 190 to 200 is a good kind of range. I do think he'll throw a little more than he did in his first start. Or how many games he start? 1 or 2?
Just
one,
the
right?
one.
Yeah, the one, right? Because I did read something about Kyle Shanahan saying Lance has been improving in practice, so I take that to mean like they can call a little bit more of a normal game plan. And also they knew about this Garoppolo injury, since their day off. So if Lance is going to go, he would have a full week of practice, which is good too. So I think right around 200 is fair. And I mean, all you gotta do is feed Debo, like give him a screen pass, and he can.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it's not direct handoffs. That's gonna sap Trey Lance's value. But like going backwards, like George Kittle's clearly still a top 3 tight end. It doesn't matter. Debo's obviously probably right around your top 5, right? I guess we'll find out when we get to receivers. I think Brandon Ayuk might be the guy that is on the sit-start cusp. So where do you have Ayuk ranked right now because of Trey Lance?
I think I remember having him ranked like he's like a wide receiver 4.
Ooh, yeah. So he's on.
Oh no, I'm 52 actually. Yeah, so he fell way down.
Yeah,
and I have him running 98% of the routes. It's just, it's tough with Lance in at quarterback.
He just had that touchdown upside of late, and with Trey Lance under center, that's kind of what goes away, especially around the goal line. You got to worry about Trey Lance running at himself. Ayuk similar for me. I think I have him like 45 right now, but he's sort of off that sit start cusp. Even though he's been solid the past few games, I just think with Trey Lance, he's the guy that's the odd man out.
Yeah, because you can't really, you got Debo, you got Kittle, like you can't really knock those guys down. Like you got to figure those guys are going to be the priority. For target. The interesting thing is who's going to get more rushing yards: Trey Lance, Debo Samuel, or Jeff Wilson,
or none of the above. Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, if he comes back, is he like, what's the word? I haven't heard anything on him. I know they hope to have him back, but I also heard it wasn't promising.
Yeah, what do I know right now? But he was questionable for that Thursday night game, so I think just with the semi bye week since they played Thursday, I would assume he's ready to go. But it would make sense. They're facing the Texans. They'll probably win without him. It would make sense to just give him the week off, but who knows anymore. They'd be fine with just Jeff Wilson, Jermichael Hasty. I think Trey Sermon might be coming off IR, so that might impact it. But I just think that
he's not gonna play.
Yeah,
Trey Sermon's not gonna get a snap. As long as Wilson and Hasty are healthy, Trey Sermon's
against the Texans, you're up 20 points in the fourth quarter. That's when you get Trey Sermon some carries. That's what I meant by that.
That's when you give Juice Check. Get what Juice Check pat is.
Oh, okay, yeah. That works. Or Brian Hill, whoever the hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he's actually signed to the active roster. So Sermon would be a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, even if he came back.
You can never underestimate any 49ers back. So the fact that Brian Hill's on the active roster means we need to pay attention somewhat. But I think
like Trey Sermon is the back we were supposed to underestimate. He's the one guy that hasn't done
Could you imagine Trey Lance and Trey Sermon finally come through in week 17? The league winners, we all said they would be.
And we could have the top 3 wide receivers be A. Brown, Antonio, AJ, and Amon-Ra.
Wow.
You could actually do that in DFS too. Just get an all A Brown.
Yeah, I like
you don't even have to get confused.
We might have to for our DraftKings team. Let's do that because I mean those 3 are the 3 of the top plays. So might as well.
All right, let's go to running back. Who's your top 5 for this week?
So I got Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, assuming Kareem Hunt is still out, and then David Montgomery in my top 3. I just his projections are through the roof right now. Then Austin Eckler and Alvin Kamara. Why are you giggling? And how is yours different?
I have Montgomery 6. That was just like I thought I was high on him. I was like that's number 3.
That was good. I got to feel like you, just some random guy that you can't really
like,
argue about either in my top 3.
I can't argue it. It's just funny. It's like I don't feel comfortable about him even at 6, to be honest. But I have Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. And then Najee Harris, I feel like I need to move him somewhere else. But
I thought Dalvin Cook was one of those guys that was ruled out for 2 weeks.
Nah, they said he's hopeful to come back. From what I read, they said they hope to get him back. Mike Williams was the one guy that I saw that was just like they were like he's.
They
out.
Just said nope.
So I mean, I don't know if that changes with the CDC guidelines, like you pointed out before we got on air. I still have Mike Williams projected for 0, but I do have Cook projected to come back. I can't knock Mixon out of the top 5 at this point. Like he's just been monstrous. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, Najee's still getting the workload. It's just the numbers haven't been there for him. So, but I think Chubb, I have Hunt projected to play, and I still have Chubb number 3. So I don't think he's like a stretch. Like I think at this point he's gonna get like 75% of the carries, regardless of what's going on with Hunt and Dearness Johnson.
Yeah, and they should have their offensive line back this week too. So that's been something. I remember I told you I docked his yards per rush a bit the past couple of games, but it's back up to 5.5. It's back up to 5.5 now. Where do you have him at? Your yards per rush? We're still over 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, it probably went up after last game. We have like 8 yards a carry.
Are we past 6 now? Are we in new territory?
Let's see. Are we in Debo territory?
Yeah, Debo territory.
He's at
against the Steelers. I mean,
5.1. So 5.1. That's not 18 for 92. So.
Against the Steelers, though, if there were a time to have a running back close to
exactly. 6. I should probably probably bump him up a little more. I might bump him up to 2. Eckler's the guy that worries me. Like, where do you projecting for Eckler's like splits? Because like I have like the last 3 games, his carries in the backfield were like under 50%. So like, do you have him at his like normal season long numbers or?
No, that's a good point. I have him at 11 carries right now. I just think after Justin Jackson's performance, and you kind of mentioned it or alluded to it, is they've kind of capped his rush attempts all season, but now that Justin Jackson has looked really good, they might want to preserve Eckler. So just, I have 11 rush attempts for Eckler and 8 for Justin Jackson this week, and regular receiving work from Eckler. So 4.2 receptions. They probably want to keep him involved in the passing game, obviously, but yeah, I could see Justin Jackson, earning more rush attempts going forward at Eckler's expense.
Yeah. I have Eckler for 10 carries and 4 catches. So he's still my RB7 even with that.
Right.
But I kind of used the last 3 games where like the backfield carries were like 67%, 39%, 35%. So I'm just kind of worried, especially, first game back off COVID, we've been seeing some guys struggle that they just, he's more so around like 50% than his usual like 65, 70.
And he still usually gets like every goal line opportunity, right?
Not always, not sometimes like they'll throw like Roundtree in there. So
my boy Roundtree.
I still got Eckler for like 0.7 touchdowns. I mean, he's scoring like a touchdown a game anyway. So he's my RB7. If I bump him up just a little, he'd jump above Najee, but I still think in DFS, he's probably going to be overpriced because he's the second highest price back. So probably a fade this week.
Definitely a fade.
Regardless. Yeah. Okay. Who do you like in DFS? DFS cheat codes, guys are higher on than the consensus.
So I mean, I already talked about him, but David Montgomery, just absolutely love him this week. He's 6,500. Yet he's my number 2 ranked back on the main slate. So like I said, at 6,500 against the Giants, how can you go wrong? It's his rushing usage, of course, but also his receiving usage. It's been like 5 games in a row now. He's had 4 more catches. I'm just kind of going on the fly right now, but his receiving usage has been up there. So assuming that the Bears continue to use him as a workhorse, even though they're basically out of it, love him at that price. Ronald Jones, similar price, 6,300. You have to go with him this week against the Jets. Perfect spot for Ronald Jones. He has 2 touchdown upside here. Should be a run heavy game script. So love Ronald Jones here. Like I mentioned on our waiver pod, Keyshawn Vaughn might be a sneaky flyer in GPPs just in case he gets some serious usage in the second half. He could do some damage with 10 or 12 carries in the second half. So I might have a couple shares of him. Devin Singletary, this could be another week where Zach Moss is a healthy scratch. I could see the Bills leaning on Singletary here against the Falcons. So love Singletary as well. And then we have to monitor the Clyde Edwards-Helaire news, but I'm assuming he's out. Yeah. So I think Darrell Williams is a good bet this week. I know you mentioned you're worried about him a bit with Derek Gore, and I agree. It seems like Derek Gore mixes in a lot more these days, but in a pretty neutral game script against the Bengals, I think this is going to be a close game. I think that favors Williams. They tend to use Gore more, when they're blowing a team out. So I think this close game script will favor Darrell Williams. And then, Boston Scott, I think is sneaky. Jordan Howard will probably be the starting back this week, but when it comes to this Eagles backfield, you can never tell who's going to get the most points. So I like, taking on flyer and Boston Scott. I think he might be under rostered this week. And either he or Howard could go off here. So I think Boston Scott is a sneaky
Boston Snot.
Boston Snot. He is going to tear it up this week because I said that,
man.
just like Nick Chump.
Yeah, I would also, I like all those guys. I would also like Jeff Wilson if he's going to start again at 5,600. I think he would be a top 10 back for me. Dare Ogunbowale looks like he's going to be the Jaguars lead back. So 5,100 is kind of an off the radar one where the Patriots are 15.5-point favorites, which means dump off, like late in the game. So that could be like a 10 catch game for Ogunbowale, even if he runs for like 30 yards and no touchdowns. So especially on DraftKings, I really like him. Devin Singletary at 5,400. He's control of that Bills backfield, being treated like a feature back. You got the Falcons, as a home favorite. So this could be a monster, like 100-yard touchdown type of performance for Singletary in this spot. And Zach Moss was active, and it still didn't matter for Singletary, because sometimes when Moss has been active, we see Singletary they split work a little more closely. But Moss was active. They scratched Breida. Singletary was still a feature back, catching a lot of balls too. So like Singletary a lot this week as well. All right, what are we doing for our prop at running back?
Well, at your request, we are going to go with Cam Akers, total rushing yards. And I have no idea where to set this line.
Yeah.
So
I was kind of hoping.
I'm going to just float this for you to attack. 20.5 rushing yards.
I have him.
Like, have you seen it? Are they just going to ease him in? Is he healthy? Like, what's going on?
I actually have him at 22. So I'm like a hair over. I'm thinking he's going to take the Darrell Henderson, like updated role where it was just Sony Michel's backfield, but like Henderson would kind of mix in here and there. So I have Akers right now for 25% of the carries in the backfield. So got him at around, what is that? About 6 carries. 5.7 carries. So
okay.
I mean, I don't, and even that seems it could be high. Like I really don't know. I mean, what do you think? Michelle's also just playing really well.
Yep.
Which is kind of the caveat.
Yeah, no, I think we have the same exact projection. So how many rush attempts do you have for Sony Michel? I have 17.6.
Yeah, 16.6. So same thing.
Yeah, like I said this, I think about a month ago before Darrell Henderson got hurt and then landed on the COVID list, but it seemed like McVay was just frustrated that he kept game planning for Henderson, then he'd miss time or get banged up in the games. So he was going to switch to Sony Michel sooner or later. And like you said, he's been playing well. So I think they just stick with it. And, I'm expecting a ton of sit-start questions with Sony Michel this week. I still think he's like a low-end RB1, high-end RB2. And a lot of people are probably going to get scared away that Cam Akers is active when they probably shouldn't be, because I agree. He's probably going to return to this revised Darrell Henderson backup role, and Sony Michel will probably still be the workhorse back. Then again, it's Tuesday. We still have, 5 days left until the game, so we might get more updates until then. But right now, I still love Sony Michel.
Yeah, he's like in that mid-range RB2, for me, depending on some other guy. Like if Swift plays, I think I'd have Swift above him, like guys like that. But it's tough to project, and I think we just have to kind of pay attention to what's going on in practice. Like if Akers is practicing in full, and you get some, the beat writers may have an idea of what he's going to do this week, how much work he's going to get. That's how we got to kind of update, going forward. Since we have some extra time, let me just ask you some start sits. James Conner or Chase Edmonds?
Ooh. Well, this obviously depends on James Conner's status.
I mean, assuming he plays, like he's healthy to go.
Yeah, so
like he gets in at least one practice this week.
I would lean Chase Edmonds, maybe just because of the matchup against the Cowboys. James Conner would get the nod if it was going to be a positive game script, but since it's probably going to be a negative one, probably lean on Chase Edmonds and his receiving ability a little bit more here, but it's definitely close. And I think James Conner, he's been a touchdown machine this year, but he is due for some touchdown regression. So I would lean Edmonds, but they're kind of both low end RB2s this week against the Cowboys.
What about AJ Dillon or Tony Pollard?
got to be AJ Dillon, especially if we're dealing with sub-zero weather or something. This would be a perfect spot to lean on Dillon. How about you? Like, where do you weigh in on the Koerner one? That's
I have Koerner and Edmonds splitting the work 50-50. Connor's been a little more touchdown dependent. So I have him like 2 or 3 spots higher because I still have him projected for more touchdowns on the same amount of touches, but I'm just splitting it like 50-50, AKA I have no idea. I feel like that's the safest way to go. And I feel like you have no idea and they're both just good. Cause like I ended up ranking Edmonds like 10th last week and like I was kind of scared because I was like, once Koerner was ruled out, Edmonds just like jumped up, but I was like, I'll go with it. And he ended up finishing like 2 or 3.
Oh yeah. Week, so. When Koerner was ruled out, I took Edmonds receiving prop over 20.5, especially with Rondale Moore out, and he cleared it in like the first quarter. But yeah, so I think, like I said, you would agree with me. It kind of depends on Connor's status later in the week. If it's, oh, he's 100% good to go, like he looks brand new, versus he's going to give it a try. He's going to give it a go or something like that. Then I would lean Edmonds. But it probably ultimately comes down to like how confident are that Connor's ankle, right? It's his ankle, right? Is 100%.
Yeah. Dillon or Pollard?
Yeah. So I'm leaning Dillon here. Pollard's dealing with that plantar fasciitis. And just this is one of those games where you drafted AJ Dillon, the second round last year for a reason. So I could see them leaning on him a little bit more here. So I have Dillon right now. I have Dillon about a half point higher. I can't see too many things changing from now until then. We might get David Bakhtiari to make his season debut this week, I would hope. And in that event, I would lean Dillon all the way.
I'll do one more. Rex Burkhead or Michael Carter?
That is a tough one because, I mean, Carter has the tough matchup against the Bucks, but they could use him more as a pass catching back. This is tough. And I think, like I said, I'm going with Carter here because, like I said, the time to play Rex Burkhead was last week when you were saying to play him against the Chargers. But this week against the Niners, this is just a much tougher matchup. So he should have the volume. But I just don't think the efficiency is going to be there. And I think Carter just has, more of receiving usage. So I think Carter's the safer play, but they're both kind of like RB3, dicey RB3 flex options for me this week.
I have Burkhead like 3 spots ahead of Carter right now, so I'm actually gonna go Burkhead. But like they both have tough matchups, so it's after Burkhead's game, I think, and he's been getting a little bit more consistent usage now than even Carter because Tevin Coleman's factoring in a bit more.
True.
And so it's tough, but I feel like that's a question that some people may have out there, at least some of these close calls.
Didn't Burkhead like 4 of the starting offensive linemen for the Texans were out last week?
Yeah, it's just the Chargers. It's just like anyone can run it apparently against the Chargers. And I think Justin Jones was out for the Chargers, right?
What would you set? Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's killer.
What would you set my line at? Say I suit up.
I would give you
for against the Chargers. How long would I last? What would you set the line at?
I would set it at 64.5.
64.
Yeah, you get 4 carries a quarter. I get you 4 yards a pop. You're getting 4 yards a pop. Can you get that? Can you get that 4.1?
I think I would survive about 3 carries before I had to get Carter off the field.
Nah, but you wouldn't get hit.
I would just slide. Yeah, I would do the Tom Brady slide.
Toss play out of bounds for 4 yards every play.
I'd project myself for about 6.5. 3 carries with the slide for about a 1 to 2 yards each, and then just get destroyed.
Well, here's the thing: would you also be playing special teams? Because then you might just get hurt on the kickoff or something.
Yeah. Then the prop would be voided, right? Because they wouldn't play it.
Yeah. I think if you play a snap in the game, I think they have to.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay.
Sometimes they do must start for action, but that's usually quarterbacks.
True.
All right. Let's go to wide receiver. Who are your top 5 this week?
So this is like clockwork. This is my boring top 5 where you're going to yell at me for my number 5 guy. It's Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs, as always.
I'm going Kupp, Adams, Samuel, Tyreek Hill, and my number 5. This is a throwback. Antonio Brown.
St. Brown. Oh, Antonio Brown.
Close. It was going to be one of the Browns.
Wow.
No, but like AB ran around on 84% of the dropbacks last week. Mike Evans is probably going to be out, whether it's due to COVID or his hamstring injury. Gronk is not
a decoy.
Yeah, he's been not as involved. But listen, they said it on the broadcast against the Panthers. Like Antonio Brown is relishing in this opportunity to be a true number one receiver again, and just to show everybody that he can do it, especially after all the craziness that went on this year and, getting suspended. So, and Brady loves AB. Like he lobbied for him, on 2 different teams. Yep. So I think he keeps feeding him, and they're going against the Jets. So yeah, like Justin Jefferson is essentially tied with him, but with Thielen out, it almost worries me a little that they can dedicate more attention to him. But also there's an outside shot that Jair Alexander comes back, which then would be really troublesome for Jefferson.
And sub-zero weather potentially.
Right. Yeah. So AB, I mean, I was surprised to see him that high, but it's hard to knock him down.
No, I'm looking further now. I haven't done my deep dive projections, just surface level stuff. But yeah, 84% routes run last week in his return, which, you could have been Eason. He saw a target on 52% of his routes. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's totally sustainable, though. That's what they were doing with Chris Godwin for the past few games. So yeah, like against the Jets, who's going to stop Antonio Brown? No one. So yeah, I'll probably be there with you with him in my top 5 by the end of the week.
The only thing that would knock him out, and it would probably still leave him like in the top 12, would be Mike Evans coming back. That would be the only thing. And even that, it's you still have, like Evans got the same way Evans and Godwin were usually like top 10 guys anyway. Evans and Brown could just be top 10. So, good spot when you have Tom Brady as your quarterback. Who do you like for your DFS cheat codes at receiver? Guys are higher on than the consensus, all that good stuff.
So I was going to be all over Michael Pittman at 5,800. He's just been on fire of late. The past 3 weeks. He's seen
except that week he got thrown out of the game.
Oh, right. Was that the Patriot game?
Yeah, I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I had the under on that because I figured that would be the case, but he was still getting targets.
You figured he would get thrown out?
No, I didn't figure he'd get thrown out.
I was like, that would have been the call of all calls.
No, that he'd get taken out Bill Belichick style, but not thrown out of the game. Yeah. But he's seen a target on 39% of his routes the past 3 games. However, with Carson Wentz out and Sam Ehlinger, possibly Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement, can't trust Pittman, so I'm off him this week at 5,800, which is a bummer. So I'm, all about these cheaper guys. We got Josh Palmer. I feel like I was touting him in week 1. I would say he was a cheat code for week 1. He didn't even play that week, but I was all about him. He's a 4th-round rookie, pretty underrated. The best comp I ever saw for him was like Terry McLaurin. Like he's a sleeper, and Justin Herbert has a great deep ball, and sure enough, Palmer finally got his chance last week and he thrived. So again, this week, they just said Mike Williams is out. He's already out.
That's what they're saying. I mean,
possibly Jalen Guyton is out again as well, which really opened the door for Palmer here. So I like him against the Broncos this week as well. He's 3,600, which is just insane. I think after last week, his rostership is going to be through the roof, but
the cash game guy. He's a cash game guy that you probably want to fade in tournaments because he's just so cheap that even if he puts up 3 catches, you could your cash game lineup will probably still be fine.
Yeah, he does have that deep play upside though. I'm a Palmer hipster. I was on the liked him when he was underground, so I'm sticking with him this week. Don't convince me to pivot off.
Oh no, although tournaments you're saying.
Yeah, tournaments, cash games, whatever you name it.
I don't like to play the cheap high end guys in tournaments though, because it's like Nico Collins last week. I was like, I was waiting so long to play Nico Collins, but it's like
same.
He's if he's gonna be owned 25%, and he exactly what he did. He was 3 for 33 and a touchdown. So that's what 11 points. It's that's not really gonna cut it at 25%.
Yeah, they spread it around. It was Chris Conley that had
Philip Dorsett.
Just he spread it around. Davis Mills, the first read guy, spread it around of all.
I don't know. Davis Mills is pretty good. Wait, he
is. No, I've backed off my stance that he's the worst starting quarterback. He's the 3rd worst. But
who's the worst? Lamar Jackson?
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, him.
You can't even disagree with that right now.
I never would. you tried to tell me to take Trevor Lawrence above what was it?
Are you talking about before the
Davis
season
Mills?
started?
No, I'm talking about 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
remember
no,
you were you got to take Trevor Lawrence in this Jags Texans game. It's like
I think I said I liked Mills because of stacking with Cooks. Either way, I take that back. And I was saying Trevor Lawrence's rushing upside is why I liked him better. But I digress. So Zay Jones is another cheap guy at 3,900. He's been solid for the past month or so. He's had 5 or more catches in 4 of the past 5 games. So he's definitely going under the radar. His underlying usage has been solid for like 8 or 9 games straight. It just was a matter of time until he started producing. So against the Colts, they're a pass funnel D. If Darren Waller's out again, I think Zay Jones obviously benefits. So I would stick with him at 3,900. And then, got to go with just this Cardinals Cowboys game. I think is going to be a great game to stack. It's the highest total game of the week. So love me some Christian Kirk at 5,800. I love the thought of stacking this game. So I'm beginning with Christian Kirk and going from there. This is a dome environment. So depending on what kind of weather we see this week, could make this game even more important to stack. But just Christian Kirk, he's unstoppable right now. He's averaging 8 catches a game without DeAndre Hopkins the past 2 weeks. So I think they stick with him. So love Kirk at 5,800.
That's interesting. I don't think I want anything to do with Christian Kirk. Not against Trevon Diggs.
Well,
I think they put Diggs on him.
Yeah, I know, but he's been obviously very good this year, but he has been prone to big plays, right? I mean, if he goes for interceptions and he's aggressive,
not lately.
They're like Marcus Peters.
Because I'm looking at if you look at the Terry McLaurin, 4 targets, 0 catches. The Giants don't matter, but Terry McLaurin again, 3 catches, 40 yards. Cowboys number 1 in DVOA against wide receiver 1.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware. I think that's being baked in his price. He's 5,800.
That's a lot. That's like a mid-range. That's like your standard mid-range wide receiver 2 price. I don't know. I think this is the week to fade him. I mean, what do you get? 7 catches last week. I think this is a fade week for Kirk. Actually, I think people are going to be on him.
You think people? Oh, I kind of liked him because I thought he would
in this
be
game,
under roster.
Because in this, I feel like in tournaments, people are going to want to stack this game. So there's going to be a ton of Kirk. There's going to be all the Cowboys guys after they scored 56, obviously. I disagree. I think Kirk it's going to be rough for Kirk.
All right, I'm going to force him in our DraftKings lineup.
Oh my goodness!
I've constantly said Christian Kirk is underrated all season. I'm just rubbing it in right now is all.
No, he is.
But all your points are well taken.
There's certain matchups because now the thing is, it's now we're 15 games into the season. The matchup data, there's no point at which you can trust the matchup data more than right now. And there's certain matchups it was like McLaurin last week. A lot of people asked me, I was like, got any last minute start sits? A lot of Terry McLaurin questions. And in almost all of them, I told him to sit McLaurin because he had bageled against Diggs last time. And he's one of the most talented guys in the league at receiver. And he bageled and then he went for 40 yards. This time it's just it's that quarterbacks at this point and they just don't want to throw to the guy. You know what I mean? They just, maybe Kyler's different, but they just don't want to risk those interceptions. I think that's really what it is more than just because his coverage grade, if you look at Pro Football Focus, I think his coverage grade is actually below average overall, which they're grading on a play-by-play basis. But quarterbacks just don't want to throw at him, and when they do end up throwing at him, he just gets picked. So he's a dicey play. I feel like your guy that we talked about on the last show, Antoine Wesley, actually might be an interesting pivot.
He's my guy now. Love it.
I feel like you've talked to him. I like him too. No, so. He should have had a touchdown. What was it, last week? I think. No, 2 weeks ago. He should have had a touchdown. I think he had one last week. But so he should have one 2 weeks in a row. He's kind of the 1-for-1 replacement for Hopkins. So even if Rondale Moore comes back, I still think Wesley's playing 80%, 85%. So he's a guy I would pivot to in that game.
Yeah, his rostership will be obviously much lower than Kirk when it shouldn't be. So I would say that's a good pivot for sure.
There we go.
I can agree on that.
For me, AB, at DraftKings on FanDuel, he's a top 3 price receiver, but on DraftKings, he's 6,100 must play on there. Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's really what all the Lions have to do at this point. And Josh Reynolds just went on the COVID list. Now there is a chance, I guess he could come back with the 5-day period, but I'm still skeptical because it's still essentially the day of you'd be coming back, put on the list Tuesday, you come off Saturday night or something like that. So no practice. So I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's kind of locked in here again. The Seahawks, they're last ranked pass defense in the league. NFL Red Zone could not stop flashing that graphic. It was just like Seattle, last ranked pass defense. So I think the Lions, their play volume may go up because Seattle, they just give up. Like they can't, for some reason, their defense just, it's always on the field and their offense barely runs any plays. So the Lions might actually run like 65, 70 plays in this game. Maybe 75. So I like St. Brown a lot. Love the Zay Jones. I think it's Zay Jones or Josh Palmer as the wide receiver 3 in cash games for me on DraftKings. It just depends on kind of, like you said, what happens with Waller, what happens with Mike Williams, if they kind of reverse course with the new guidelines, that would decide that. But yeah, those are pretty much the guys that I had. What are we doing for the prop?
So let's have some fun here. Will Cooper Kupp break Calvin Johnson's single season receiving yards record? He needs 230 with 2 games left. Will he do it?
Wait, before I answer this question, actually, no, I can answer it first. So the prop is the next 2 games.
Yeah, it's a 2-game projection.
Yes,
obviously.
Because think about it, you got Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. The connection, like they're best friends now. He can't do that. Like he can't be like, oh, like you got to go get me this record. Like
exactly. I mean? And I think this sets up for my favorite time of year to bet on props. That's going to be week 18 this year.
Yeah.
So if Kupp only gets like 80 yards here, he's obviously going to break it, right? Let's just agree on that. If he gets 80 yards here and he needs like 150 next week, and his player prop, let's say, is his typical 108.5, I'm absolutely betting 5 units on the over, right? I mean, that's what I'm setting up here is a week 18, just ridiculous prop for him.
Can we just go martingale and like bet the over this week? And then, because I think, you know what I mean? If he doesn't clear it, then whatever it is next week, we just bang it.
You're absolutely right. Because if they're smart, they want to get him as many yards this week so that it's a smaller threshold next week. So yeah, like, I mean, is there a number you'd back off? Like, I don't know, 115 for this week, or doesn't matter? Just stick with it.
It was like above like 150 maybe.
His player prop
Cooper Kupp. I have his median at like 108.5. Like, you know what I mean?
That sounds
and that's just
right.
Without factoring in any like motivation.
It's right, and that's this time of year that matters.
Oh my god,
a ton.
And oh my god, he's facing the Baltimore secondary that just gave up 500.
I know.
Oh yeah. We gotta whatever. You know how the books post those like distribution props where it's like over 115, over 130, over we just
200.
Gotta bang all of those 1 unit each. Bang, 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 bang.
Bing bong, yeah.
Just bang.
Over 200 at like 5-1 odds.
Oh yeah.
Book it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's my favorite thing. Remember, it was last year, right? Justin Jefferson. I said I would bet it up to 120 or whatever the record was. It's like he's obviously going to break it, and his prop was just like 70 something. So yeah, that's my favorite prop week, and depending on how Cooper Kupp does this week, could be an exciting week 18 player prop for him.
Yeah, like week 18 might also be like an underplay if he gets really close, and then just like they just play him just enough to break it, and like he only needs like 50 yards.
Yeah, he needs 50 yards, but his prop's the usual 108.5. Then we would hammer the under. Well, maybe not hammer it, but consider it.
I mean, I think they're going for the record of most 100-yard games in a season too, right? He's got.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I think it was like most 90-yard games. He broke that, but I think he can. And to be fair, he has one extra game. So,
but he's had 92 plus in all but one game. Like Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, so speaking of which, so
you gotta play him in cash game.
Next week, incentives also kick in as well. I look at those when it comes to player props. Antonio Brown he needs to average like 100 yards a game the last 3 games, and he gets like $1 million or something. That's something to look into because he had a great game last week. You and I also like he's gonna go off this week and then next week. So he's another guy to monitor. He has like some incentives where he needs to go off the next 2 weeks.
Did Carson Wentz already clear that thing that the Eagles are already going to get their pick, right? Like yeah, because that would have sucked if he had just got on COVID like a week earlier.
Remember at the beginning of the season when he was, questionable to begin, like he was expected to miss a few games. That's when there was some hype around that, but he was able to play. So yeah, I think he did clear that, but yeah. Oh man, what timing though, to have this happen. And yeah, we don't even know who's going to be the quarterback for them this week at this point.
Antonio Brown has 23 DraftKings points or more in 4 out of his 6 games, 13 in the 5th one, and then 3 in the 6th one. So like, yeah, he's just been a monster fantasy producer when he's healthy. Like it's like if you think of him as like this guy, oh, should I rank him like high? But it's like, Jesus, this guy is just back to the old AB.
I found the tweet. He needs 382 receiving yards over the final 3 games. This is before the week 16 game.
So he had 101.
Okay. So he needs 200 and something. I mean,
over. So yeah, we got Cooper Kupp, AB, and then like Zay Jones or Palmer. That's got to be the cash game, like wide receivers. Just like it just has to be. If you're not going Brown, and Brown. All right, let's go to tight end. Sean, who are your top 5 tight ends for week 17?
So I got Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, Rob Gronkowski for now, and Dawson Knox. Who do you got?
Kelce, Andrews, Gronk, Kittle, Ertz. I have Gronk ahead of Kittle just because Lance probably starting and the Jets are dead last in DVOA against tight ends. So, my motto still likes Gronk here. He's been running a route on 80+% of the dropbacks for the last month and change now, 5 games. So, like his underlying usage, even if he's been a little up and down. Mark Andrews has just been unstoppable. Maybe I'll bump him down if Lamar is fully cleared, but it's hard to bump Andrews out of that 2 spot. I mean, at this point, you even wonder, because we saw Tyreek get only 63% of the routes run because the Chiefs are kind of blowing them out, but also he didn't practice. So it'd be interesting to see like how much Kelce practices this week. And if that could affect his, underlying usage, then maybe it's Andrews or Gronk or Kittle as the tight end 1 and not Kelce. So that's something to monitor. But yeah, Kelce, Andrews, Gronk, Kittle, and then Zach Ertz as the 5th tight end. He's just been, his underlying usage has been going up crazy too. And, game against the Cowboys this week, I think you could see Christian Kirk get more coverage on Diggs. So I think Ertz is going to be that security blanket once again. Who do you like for your DFS cheat codes? Top plays got you higher on than the consensus.
Yeah, so I think the sweet spot this week is this 5K range with like Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, and Dalton Schultz. Goddard's coming off a floor game last week. It can happen. The Eagles are such a run-heavy team that, Goddard's going to have his bad game. So I think he bounces back this week. Should have a lower rostership because he, busted last week. So at 5,100, I like him. And then, Zach Ertz, you mentioned him. He's in your top 5, which is amazing. He's right around my top 5, but he's been a beast of late. He's averaged 6.3 receptions per game the past 3. Another guy to add in a game stack here. So Zach Ertz at 5,200 is a great play. And then Dalton Schultz at 5K, back-to-back 8-catch games. Dak looks like, he's taking it to another level. He had a bit of an injury scare towards the end of the game. I believe he should be fine. I haven't seen anything on him. I thought he got hurt on that play. That was scary, but he's way too cheap here at 5K. So I think out of these 3, Schultz is probably the best bang for your buck at 5K, but all 3 of these guys at this price are no-brainer plays for me this week.
For me, it's Ertz. He's the guy that really stands out. Hunter Henry at 4,200 against the Jags. He's running a route on 80+% of the dropbacks. Now, Jonnu Smith has been relegated to really hardly any playing time. And earlier in the year, it was kind of a 2-to-1 split. So against the Jags, it's a matchup where the Patriots might not have to throw a lot, but Henry's always a threat for 2 touchdowns just because he's their top red zone target. Jacoby Myers has 1 touchdown in his receiving in his NFL career. And I was going to say Brock Wright because Shane Zylstra got placed on IR, but then Brock Wright got placed on the COVID list as we recorded this. So it looks like Jared Pinkney and Ross Travis are going to be the tight ends for the Lions. So yeah, I'm off that. So it's
like more targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown is all that means.
It's that 5K range. It's Mark Andrews. It is what it is at tight end. There's not really anything fancy. I mean, maybe, not you can't even do like a O'Shaughnessy or anything like that. The Patriots have been really good against tight ends. Arnold looks like he's on a COVID list now.
Oh God, I missed that.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to get, he's hurt and on the COVID list. So I don't know something will probably keep him out. And then I'm just kind of looking up and down here. I mean, Freiermuth is not on the main slate, so it's tough. I mean, I think Tyler Higbee, just being priced where he is, pretty much on the field for every snap. I think he's always a threat, especially against this Ravens team that has struggled at times against tight ends. And does play some man coverage, though. I think Higbee's been better against zone this year. So you're kind of grasping for straws at tight end. Another guy was interesting. Tyler Croft ran a route on 96% of dropbacks, COVID list.
Have you seen their depth chart? They don't have, who's their tight end this week? Not that it matters.
I think it would have to be Dan Brown.
Dan Brown. Yep.
He would be the only guy.
Good Lord. This is when playing preseason DFS comes in handy. Pretty much
and even my guy Yeboah, he's on the COVID list too, I think. So he's like all of these guys. Wesco just went on IR, so it's like maybe they'll use fullback Nick Bowden at tight end.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I have to as we record this, a bunch of tight ends just went on the COVID list, so I just have to update our projections.
Over under 8.5 guys Saturday night. You tell me I need to add to the main sheet.
Ooh, I'd say over.
This week,
yeah.
All the games are on Sunday. Yeah. Why the new line's 15.5.
You gotta add Jalen Camp and Josh Hammond and Michael Bandy.
CJ Saunders. Yeah.
Maurice F. French, because he has 2 F's in the front of his name.
Oh yeah. For some reason.
Is it French or is it for French?
It's French. I love that I was right about Durham Smythe. I don't know why you're calling him Smith.
Yeah, I just assumed it was Smith, because what the fuck is a Smythe?
That was a credit to you that he caught so many balls that we got to hear his name. Said correctly so often. Same thing with Tommy Lewis. I think we did.
Yeah, he got to catch. He got to catch. And I mean, if you had him stacked with the Dolphins defense, you probably did pretty good.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, what a brutal game though.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is you're gonna have to, like you said, probably pay at least $5,000 this week for tight end. There's nothing there. I mean, even Brevin Jordan, he ran around on 61% of the dropbacks last week, but that was with Cooks out. If Cooks comes back, I don't know if they use as many 2 tight end sets. Also, the Niners have been the number 2 team in the league in DVOA against tight ends, so allowing only 36 schedule adjusted receiving yards per game, according to Football Outsiders. That's not really a matchup that you want with the team that probably won't throw that many touchdowns anyway. So yeah, it's tight end is tough this week. What are we doing for the prop?
So we're going with a prop that Prize Picks has up right now, and that's Rob Gronkowski total receiving yards against the Jets, over under 49.5.
Over. I have them like 60. It's the Jets.
I know, right?
They have 32nd against tight ends. Gronk's had a couple of quiet games. They're gonna force feed AB, but what else are they gonna do? I don't think, even if Evans plays, I think I would still have this around 55-ish.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So listen, we know how tight ends do. It's like you said it about Goddard. It's up and down. Every once in a while, even the top guys are gonna have a bad game. So,
and it was just bad timing. I mean, all the receivers are out. You just figure Gronk's gonna have a big game, and then he posts 2 duds. So I think the market's completely off of him. But I'm with you. I think he bounces back here. I haven't done my full projections breakdown yet, but I have him right around 60 with you. So the median would be closer to about 55.5. I'm on the over 49.5 as well.
Yeah, Gronk is what's he at? He's at 6 touchdowns. Maybe they try to get him 10. 2 touchdowns a game. Yeah, I mean, he's done that earlier in the year, right?
He can
started the year with 4 in the first 2 games. So
yeah.
I kind of like these end of season milestone overs, because it's the best time to bet overs. We always talk about unders tend to be the sharper side.
Brady's going
the regular market.
Yeah, Brady's going for MVP. Bruce Arians isn't there to tell him, but not that Bruce Arians tells him what to do, but he's going to call his number every time they're on the goal line. So that could be Gronk.
That would be fun if they just let Brady call all of his own plays. I think they let the Broncos John Elway do that once, and I think it was against the Jets. So it'd be interesting if they just let Brady call all his own plays.
They absolutely should.
Yeah, that would be
fun.
They
should.
All right. So that's going to do it for the positional breakdowns. Now let's jump into the segment of the show where we build our DFS lineups. We do one on DraftKings, one on FanDuel, and tournament type lineups here. So we'll try to go a little bit off the board. Start on DraftKings. You know what? Let's just go Cooper Cup.
What happened to our Brown?
Oh, that's what okay. Fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's DraftKings. Let's go AB.
Although,
Yeah.
I'm not
Cooper
complaining
Cup
about.
is probably easier on FanDuel because his price is
Yes.
kind of the same anyway. So yeah, let's go AB. Yeah, we could do the Brown.
AB. I will follow that up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, which, by the way, I mean, he is quarterback proof after posting 9 catches. I always say that's huge for a receiver to prove that they don't need specific quarterback. And Tim Boyle, arguably the worst quarter. So Davis Mills isn't the worst quarterback, by a mile at this point. Tim Boyle might be the worst one. No, Ian Book is. Tim Boyle, the second worst starting quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown was still able to post a huge number. So, I mean, we were talking about him as a sleeper all offseason, and it finally came true around week 11. But 4 straight games with 8+ catches. He's the perfect play for DraftKings.
Yeah, and that's kind of how, these rookies, it's not always going to be from week 1 with some of these rookie sleepers. That's why you kind of just like, get them on your roster, stash them, and good things usually happen at some point. Cooper Kupp also proving he doesn't need Jared Goff. So
True. That's a pattern here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go AJ. So we'll do our Brown.
I mean,
Brown
all
do for you?
3 are just
This is the UPS lineup
monsters
right
this week. Just
what
monsters.
can Brown do for you? So we have
exactly ship it.
And so we have 51-16 average remaining for quarterback, 2 running backs, tight end, flex, defense.
Gotta jam in my boy David Montgomery. Just load up on these 6K guys. So let's see. We haven't picked a defense yet, so we probably do have a lot.
Bears 3,200 stack. Let's do it.
Oh wow! Against why are they priced so low against Jake Fromm? I'm assuming Jake Fromm is starting again, correct?
Yeah, I mean Mike Glennon ended up coming in,
but
they're all the same terrible quarterbacks.
There's no benefit in seeing what Mike Glennon can and can't do. We already know, so might as well trot Jake Fromm out there. So yeah, love that call. That's crazy that they're only 3,200. So we have 5,200 left per player.
Yep, 5,250
so
to be exact.
See, oh man, so QB, it's wide open.
You probably got to save and go with Lance, right? At this point.
This I was gonna say this looks like a naked Lance lineup.
Yeah.
We can do something with the flex. So yeah, let's go with Trey Lance here.
Yeah, I mean, just because we kind of spent up a little bit. Yeah, that makes sense. So now we have 5,400 with running back, tight end, flex. Let's see. So I'll go Dare 5,100. Hope he gets a bunch of 10 catch DraftKings type of
I
game.
Could absolutely see that. So yeah, like that call. So that gives us some wiggle room here. So now we have
50 tight end flex.
Well, we both like Zach Ertz, and he's in that sweet spot. Let's go with Zach Ertz at 5,200, and that gives you
59 for the flex.
59. That's a lot of options at that price.
I got Antonio Gibson at 59, but I do like him as a bounce back here, but I don't want to spend the full salary, so I'm not going to pick him. Could also use Ayuk, but again, don't want to spend the full salary. Darrell Williams is 5,800. That's interesting. Your boy Christian Kirk.
I was gonna say, too bad I don't have the option here to just jam him in there.
Yeah, you set it up perfectly.
I know. I almost
to jam him in here.
I should have lied and said you went first last week or something like. That'd have been great. What about tight end Dawson Knox?
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna leave 500 on the table. I'm gonna go with Singletary.
Nice. Okay. Hope for another Zach Moss inactive.
Nah, I don't care anymore. It's like he's
it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's active. So here's our lineup. We got Trey Lance at quarterback at 4,800 against the Texans. So you got the triple D's in the backfield with David Montgomery at 6,500 against the Giants. Dare Ogunbowale 5,100 at New England. Devin Singletary 5,400 against the Falcons. Then we got the all Brown wide receiving core, Antonio at 6,100 against the Jets, Amon-Ra at 6K against the Seahawks, and AJ at 7,200 against the Dolphins. Zach Ertz, the tight end, at 5,200 at Dallas. And we're stacking Montgomery with the Bears defense special teams at 3,200. Yeah, I really like this.
Team's almost too good.
Yeah, it's like a pretty high floor lineup. Yeah.
Might be too chalky, but God,
yeah,
just
it's
so much
pretty
upside.
close to like something you could do in cash games. Probably don't need AJ in cash just because he's been a little bit up and down, more of a tournament guy. But yeah, that's not too far off from what I'll probably end up doing.
I think the Dare play makes it unique. I think that was a good call by you. That's what gives this lineup a chance to be unique in a huge tournament. But overall, just massive ceiling with this team.
Yeah, I don't think Dare is going to get too much rostership this week. Some weeks he would, but the fact that there's just a lot of other options on running back, and some others will undoubtedly open up as well. So don't think it should be too bad. Maybe he gets to like 10%, but I don't think it's going to be like a 20-25% type of situation. Right. All right, let's go to FanDuel. Sean, you can start us off here.
So, I didn't take him in our Brown lineup on DK, but I'm going with Josh Palmer on FanDuel at 5,200. That is way too cheap. He's not really a PPR guy anyway. He could catch a long touchdown here. Either way, love Josh Palmer at 5,200. Let's start off with Palmer.
Yeah, I like that. Either side, he's just too cheap. Assuming Mike Williams is indeed ruled out, but even if not, Guyton,
they said he's out.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
I did see the first time I saw somebody get unruled out was Rex Burkhead though. So like, remember he got like ruled out, then unruled.
He was ruled out, and then he was questionable, and then he played and tore it up. So every week with that guy,
it's a roller coaster. Sexy Rexy. All right, let's see here. Since we went 5,200, let's go Cooper Kupp here. So that just averages out to about like a little 7,500, 7,600 receiver. So yeah, I got to get Cooper Kupp against this decimated Ravens secondary.
Going for the record.
Yeah.
Trying to make week 18 that much easier. So like being a week early on this.
Yes.
So love that call. Is Dak's rostership's going to be insane, right? At 7,400.
Yeah, he's way too cheap. Frankly, it's interesting because you actually have him a lot higher than I do. I still have him like,
maybe that's why
quarterback 9 or 8. So it's like I'm more in line with the pricing, but I still think that's too cheap. So like if you want to do it, like I'm all for it.
I'm just worried about
haven't like looked like they know how to play football lately anyway. So
right. I'm just worried his rostership is going to be insane. He's the same price as Ryan Tannehill. So it's like
against the Dolphins, against that like murderer's row now, like all of a sudden just all those exotic fronts and blitzes, like he's the same.
I just don't know how Dak isn't 50% roster.
The Sunday night. Yeah, I agree. You're right though. It's probably going to be too. I would say.
He's a no-brainer.
Oh nah, you know what you can do?
What?
You don't have to do it since it's your pick, but what I would probably do to get off the Dak ownership is go 200 more for Stafford. Against that banged up Ravens secondary.
You're absolutely right because we already have Cooper Kupp. And I think, Van Jefferson, Odell Beckham have serious upside in this game because they've been just getting burned deep. So obviously Cooper Kupp's going to get his, but either Van Jefferson or Odell Beckham could go off here. So we can either double stack them or just keep it Stafford Kupp. But I do like that call. And like I said, I think Dak's too obvious. So for tournaments, I might pivot away. Because 7,400 is just way too cheap for him.
All right. So let's see here. So what we're going to do then, tight end, let's go Gronk. It's FanDuel. Bounce back spot.
Yep. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's too cheap there. Yikes.
67. Yeah. So we got 60 average for 2 running backs, a wide receiver, a flex, and a defense left. Our lineup so far is Stafford, Kupp, Palmer, and Gronk.
Let's see. I'll go with the defense here. Titans, 4K against the Dolphins.
Dolphins, 3-6 against the Titans.
Dolphins, 3,600 against the Titans. Would that correlate with anything we're doing? Our team
I can't. I'm not playing Miles, Lindsey, Gaskin, Johnson, Jr.,
obviously
Brown.
Obviously, yeah. So let's go with the Dolphins here.
Yeah, I just like what they're doing.
Yeah, and Julio's out. Westbrook Akina is out. So Tannehill might force it a bit too much to AJ Brown, and the Dolphins could pay with a pick six or something. That's the logic behind this. But
wait, when did Westbrook Akina get on the
yesterday?
Oh, I think I missed that. I think I still
Yeah.
had him. Oh man, see,
Julio and
Jesus.
Akina, like.
Oh yeah, because I saw the news for when I usually just go transaction line by line, but when I saw the Julio news, I was just like, okay, and I didn't see that there was other players.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, we're gonna have Rodgers, Fitzpatrick, maybe even Racy McMath running a ton of routes out there. So
great name, not a good player. All right, so
we have here? 6,700. Let's round up, 6,700 per player left. Plenty of cash on hand.
Yeah, we still don't have a running back, so let's go here. Speaking of, I know we didn't. This is not the segment, but what are your thoughts on Koerner? I'm not trying to play him here. I'm just what are your thoughts on him? Just given how much he struggles over these last few weeks.
I think he'll bounce back this week. I faded him last night. Once they announced Ian Book was starting, I just kind of faded the entire offense. So that wasn't his fault. I would say I think Teron Armstead being out was huge. Ryan Ramczyk. So if he gets his offensive line back this week, they're facing the Panthers. Taysom Hill's back. I'm back on Koerner being a potential top 5 running back. So I do like him. On FanDuel, he's probably way too expensive.
Oh yeah.
FanDuel's a half PPR site. No way, but. I'm back on Koerner this week, and I said I was fading him last week. How about you? Are you?
Yeah, I'm RB 9 or 10, so I'm definitely he's not in the top 5 the way he usually is. It's tough. It's tough to really kind of get fully behind him, just because even with Taysom, there has been the receiving usage hasn't been as good. Low total game of 38. So
that was
Ingram's there.
Yeah, yep, that's true. It feels like they're kind of monitoring Koerner's touches a bit with Ingram, but I think the offensive line has been an issue the past couple of games, and hopefully they can get the bookend lineman back this week. That's going to help for sure. And yeah, that was Sean Payton's fault last night, not designing more screen passes to Koerner, get him involved in the passing game. I don't know what that was. The deck was stacked against him with Ian Book, but still, they could have used Koerner a lot better.
Yeah, at one point they flashed a graphic on the Monday Night Football telecast that said Koerner 6 scrimmage yards, 15 penalty yards, because he had that penalty where he pushed. I forget who he pushed in the back, but because they took his
Christian
towel.
Wilkins.
The fullback.
He looked good when they put him in the Wildcat. I had the under 59.5 rushing yards for Koerner, and once they started doing the Wildcat, I got scared. And at the end of the game, he was running mad, and I got scared, but he still stayed under. But just brutal game plan, brutal quarterback. But I think the offense bounces back this week.
Let's go Gibson here, 6,800, because that's good bounce back spot from him. I think the workload has been taking a toll, though. His yards after contact just has been in free fall, but 6,800, there's still no McKissick there. So he still managed to hit, double digits in these last 2 games, even with just horrible rushing lines, 15 for 25 and 6 for 29. He's been able to get in the end zone. So FanDuel, you're kind of looking for touchdown dependent guys anyway. So if we get some yardage, it'll be gravy. But yeah, let's go Gibson here. Philly's giving up the 10th most FanDuel points to opposing backs anyway.
Yeah, and he's tough. He's dealing with that toe injury. He's obviously playing through pain. He played through that shin injury early in the season. So, the thing I've learned about Gibson, he's a grinder. He's tough. He can play through injury. So I think he bounces back this week. He's only going to get healthier from this toe injury. It was 2 weeks ago. He was barely able to run on it. So I think he'll bounce back as well. And I'm going to go with Javonte Williams against the Chargers.
I like that.
Who made Rex Burkhead look like Jonathan Taylor last week. So yeah, Javonte Williams. I think Melvin Gordon's been banged up. I need to dive into what happened. I know I was going to say that's the scary part, but the Chargers defense, both running backs can rush for 100 yards. So, is Teddy expected back this week? I think that's going to help.
I think he's considered questionable. So for now, I haven't projected in. Mostly because I just don't want to project Drew Lock's 102 passing yards.
Me either. So if if Teddy is ruled out again and Drew Lock starting, I'm probably going to pivot away from Javonte. Unfortunately, you just can't trust anybody if Drew Lock's under center. So I'm adding Javonte, assuming Teddy returns this week.
All right. So we got flex and receiver left, 6,900. Nice. I'll let you do the flex here.
Okay.
So I'll go with the third wideout. Let's see here. Let's try to get in that same salary range. Don't want McLaurin just because I think Slay still, that's tough.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, probably rostership way too high. Renfro, could go St. Brown again, but Renfro's interesting. Let's see. Amari Cooper. Yeah, let's go Amari Cooper at 6,700. So we won't get Dak, but we're going to get some Amari. And the reason being is they talked about on a Sunday Night Football telecast that Amari, who's a pretty unselfish guy, but Collinsworth said that Amari was telling the coaching staff, you guys got to target me more, especially in the red zone. So that's perfect for FanDuel. Like,
yes,
get Amari some red zone targets here. 6,700. So that leaves you 7,100 for a flex.
7,100. Okay, we have a ton of options. Wait, we already have Gronk. Ronald Jones would kind of limit our ceiling if I go Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great matchup, but also the rostership is probably going to be massive anyway. So in a tournament, you'd probably be better off going with a guy like, Waddles is probably going to be crazy too now. But yeah, you're probably better off going with maybe like a Penny or Renfro.
That's what I was going to say. Rashad Penny against the Lions, rip off 2 long touchdowns or something. He's looked really good. I know you and I kind of bag on him from time to time, but he's looked really good. He looks like a complete different player these past 2 weeks. So I'm going to, jump on the Penny train here, and I'm going with him against the Lions.
I like him in this spot. I have him as a top 20 back. I think that number one, like the season's kind of dead. So it's like he was a front office type pick. But at this point, it's probably just like he's also the best back they have. He's running well. The Lions are a terrible run defense. Like there's big home favorites. Not that means anything. They lost to the Bears, but perfect spot for Penny, and it's FanDuel. So he's not getting the one knock on him, even in these big games that he's been having 235 yard plus rushing games. He still hasn't been catching the football out of the backfield, but that doesn't matter. It's FanDuel.
Exactly. That's what he's the perfect FanDuel play. And Alex Collins is a healthy scratch. What's going on with Adrian Peterson?
He's on the practice squad.
The greatest running back of all time, arguably, is just on a practice squad on a losing team. Like, what is he doing? Why doesn't he just retire?
Trying to get this work, man, but it's tough, man. He's got like five backs, and Pete Carroll likes all of them except the one that's actually playing the best. So he's got to start him. So yeah, I think Peterson got hurt in practice. So a couple weeks ago. And so it's just kind of been,
I think he's healthy though. I just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with the Seahawks, which is why, even Collins getting scratched is not that surprising. It's like they're going to have their starting back. Homer is going to play special teams regardless. Like they love him. Dallas going to play special teams. They love him. So and then they have Nick Bellore, great special teamer at fullback. So, and he plays some linebacker too, but the numbers just don't really add up to have all these running backs active, and they still like suck at running anyway most of the time. So it's like, I think at this point I don't know if AP gets another call up, maybe, but I think they like Collins more than AP. So it might be over at least for this season, unless he gets dropped and picked up by like another contender or the Dolphins. The Dolphins might just. They're fine keeping like every back active. They called up Jordan Scarlett last game.
I saw that.
Like what? Why? But yeah, all right, let's go Penny.
A good looking team, if you ask me.
Yeah, this week I think there's a lot of options, a lot of players in good spots, so it should be interesting. Matthew Stafford at 7,600 against the Ravens at quarterback. Got a running back trio of Antonio Gibson at 6,800. Against Philly, Javonte Williams, 6,100 at the Chargers, and Rashad Penny, 6,900 against Detroit. Josh Palmer at wide receiver at just 5,200. Amari Cooper at 6,700 against the Cardinals, and Cooper Kupp stacked with Stafford at 10.2K going up against the Ravens. Gronk is our tight end at 6,700, expecting a bounce back here. And then the Dolphins just playing really well, well-schemed defense at 3,600 against the Titans, who are just missing a ton of guys. So yeah, I like both of these teams. I like all these plays. I think it's going to be a challenging week unless we get some things cleared up due to COVID, because there's almost too many options. So like, it's going to be one of those weeks where your team might score like 180 and you might be like right on the cash line. Oh man.
Because there's so many, this is the biggest main slate of the year because there's no Thursday night football, there's no Saturday football, there's no buys. So it's a 14 game slate. So like you said, you almost have to shoot for a higher ceiling, go for more aggressive plays, because like you said, it's going to take an even bigger score this week to take anything down.
Yep, totally agree. All right, that is going to do it for our week 17 main slate pod. If you were lucky enough to survive the carnage and make it to your fantasy football championship weeks, congratulations to you. Our fantasy football rankings projections are up at actionnetwork.com. So, if we don't get to answer all the start sits, you can always go there to check our most up-to-date rankings and projections. You can find our DFS content tools and models at fantasylabs.com, and be sure to follow us on Twitter. Sean is at @the_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. You can also find us at those same handles in the free award-winning Action Network app, where you can follow our bets, including our prop bets, and track yours as well. Until next time, let's get to shmoney.